During World War II, many children living in cities and towns were moved away to places that were considered to be safer, usually in the countryside. This was called evacuation.
Towns and villages in the countryside would not be targeted by German bombing planes as much as the cities, so children would be much safer living in the rural areas.
Areas in the red on the map show the areas that the German bombers would bomb the most. The green areas show the rural countryside where people would be safer from the bombing raids. Children were evacuated to the green areas.
Children were only allowed to take one suitcase with them. In the suitcase was the clothes they would need, a ration book and some money and a few books or a comic. They also had to carry a gas mask in a cardboard box and wear an identity tag around their neck.
Many children had never been separated from their parents before. Imagine how it must have felt to be waving goodbye to your parents, going to a strange place, living with strangers and knowing you might not see your parents for over a year.
Being an evacuee was a scary time for children. They faced an uncertain future as they were leaving home and didn't know when they'd see their family next. Some children would never see their families again.
Children had a good experience living with their host family. They lived in well-furnished houses with bathrooms and toilets inside. They were looked after, cared for, fed, treated with respect and sent to school.
But some children were not so lucky and had to live in small, cramped houses with no bathroom and only an outside toilet. The families that they lived with were uncaring and mean, and often children were treated horribly and neglected.
Many children had never been to the countryside before and were shocked and excited at the huge areas of rural farmland.
Lots of evacuees went to live on farms, and as well as going to school, they were expected to help out on the farm. This was exciting for the children as many of them had never seen animals such as cows and pigs before.
Children were given opportunities to do jobs that they would never have done before, such as milking cows, feeding the lambs, cleaning the pigs out and collecting the chicken eggs. All year round, they would help to dig up potatoes, carrots, onions, cabbage and turnips. In the summer, they would help to pick the fruit from the farmer's apple and pear trees, and in the autumn, they would pick blackberries.
Long before mass communication such as telephones, mobiles and the internet, the only way of keeping in touch with people was by writing letters.
Writing and receiving letters was a vital way for children who had been evacuated to keep in contact with their loved ones.
Dear Mother and Father, how are you in Manchester? I hope you are well. I really miss you. I've been crying a lot, but Mrs. Bottoms has been trying to cheer me up.
When you left me to go on the train, I felt really sad and my heart felt broken because I didn't understand why you were sending me away, but I do now.
When I was sat on the train, I felt really lonely because nobody sat next to me. But then a girl called Maggie came and sat next to me. We started talking. I found out that she's from Liverpool.
The train journey was very long, and I saw lots of beautiful countryside and animals through the window on the way.
When we got off the train, we were all very excited and Maggie fell down the steps. She cried, so I picked her up.
I felt like we had been on the train for hours. I was starving. Maggie very kindly gave me one of her jam sandwiches.
We walked with all our cases and our gas masks to a church hall, which was right on top of the hill.
I went into my room with all the other boys and we had our hair checked for lice. You will be happy to know I don't have any lice.
It was a horrible feeling waiting to be picked up. I was worried no one would want me, but a couple called Mr. and Mrs. Buttons chose me to go and live with them. They were very nice and they spoke with a posh voice.
Some of the children had to walk to their new homes, but I didn't. We went in a really smart car. It was bright red and really shiny. We drove through the countryside and arrived at an enormous house. It was bigger than the whole of my school in Manchester.
All the floors are polished wood, giant gold framed portraits hang on the walls, and all the curtains and seats are covered in plush red velvet.
When Mr. Buttons opened the door, a really big sheepdog came running out and jumped and licked my face. His name was Stanley.
Mr. and Mrs. Buttons also have got a daughter. Her name is Nellie and she's 7 years old. I don't think I like her because she keeps on coming into my room without knocking.
The only good thing about being away from home is that I've got my own bedroom and it's really nice.
I've been given some jobs to do on the farm, and I really like milking the cows and collecting the chickens' eggs.
I really miss you. Maybe one day you can come visit me. I love you with all my heart, Bobby.
Dear Mother, I have arrived in Penzance. How are you in London? I've got so much to tell you, but I miss you so much, I could die. I was sad to leave you behind at the train station. I really wanted to cry. When I was waving to you, I kept thinking that this might be the last time I ever see you. I felt so sick and empty. When I got on the train, I dropped my suitcase and everything fell out. The girl and her brother helped me pick everything up. They were called Margaret and John. I gave them some of my sandwiches for helping me. Thanks for packing them.
When we got off the train, we had to walk to the village hall. In the hall, we had to line up and wait for someone to pick us. I waited and waited and waited, and finally an old but kind-looking lady picked me. She told me to call her Granny Fisher. We walked through the village all the way to the top of the hill. The house was quite small, and it's on a farm, so it's a bit smelly because of all the cow poo.
There is another girl staying at the house. Her name is Elsie, and she's 10 like me. I don't think Granny Fisher liked our clothes or how dirty we were, because she gave us a cloth to wipe our faces and then gave us some clean clothes.
I'm sharing a room with Ellis, which is a great fun. I always wanted a sister. We've got bunk beds. Ellis lets me have the top bunk because she's afraid of heights. The sheets on my bed are blue and the pillows are white, just like the sky. It's the most comfortable bed ever.
I really like working on the farm though. It's my job to collect the eggs from the chickens every morning. Can you believe that eggs come from chickens? I never knew that.
Every day we have to go back to the village hall with all the other evacuees who are taught by the local vicar. He's very kind, but he's rubbish at controlling all the naughty kids. So we never get any real learning.
I'm wondering when I'll be allowed to go home. I'm missing you terribly. I wish I was back home with you, Mummy. Have you heard from Daddy at all? I can't wait for this horrible war to be over so we can all be together again.
I love you so much, Mummy. Please write back to me soon, because I really look forward to receiving your letters. Your loving daughter, Polly.
After 6 long years, in September 1945, World War II ended and the evacuees could finally return back home. Many evacuees were now 4 or 5 years older than when they left home, and lots of things had changed. Some children and parents found this very hard.
Evacuation has reshaped the lives of an entire generation of children, but without it, the death toll in World War II would undoubtedly have been much higher.